What is up, guys? Welcome to the 38th episode of the Trackside Girls podcast, season 2. NASCAR season has come to an end, but there are a lot of updates on new drivers moving around and different personnel moving to different teams and stuff like that. We also have to talk about the upcoming race this weekend in Vegas. F1 is taking to the streets of Sin City. So let's get into it. On to the NASCAR front. Um, it's all right, guys. Go ahead and talk about what you want to talk about. I know there's while I'm scrolling through this. I know you guys want to go ahead and talk about your boy.
What boy you're talking about?
You're lying.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You
Not on the sweatshirt or anything.
I mean the one and only Riley Herbst, which
Huh?
which we knew. Which actually,
I mean,
Lakota is the one that clocked this. Way
I mean,
back
it
was it
it,
what race was
it
that?
was the back of Tyler Reddick's car that had the terrible part. It's been like
It's been like half
months
the season
now
now. Yeah.
that I've seen that. I don't even remember what race. That is true. I pretty much have known since the beginning because somebody posted the back of Tyler Reddick's car and it had the sticker that said terrible herps, and I'm like, there's no reason they would have that on there if Riley wasn't going to them next season. So I've called it since like literally the beginning of the season started
Was that not
because that was like
was that not a Kansas race? Was it the first Kansas race?
I think she was asking if it was at Kansas because that's when you said you saw it.
Well, I knew there was a picture.
yeah,
I just
it
So
was
that was,
Kansas.
you said you
I've
saw the second Kansas race.
I've literally known since the Kansas race that he was going, that I've called it since he was going in 2311 because I'm like, there's no reason that that sticker would be on the back of Tyler Reddick's car if he wasn't going there. So I've called it since like literally the beginning of the season because I knew.
Since basically the Stuart Haas stuff, Stuart Haas and the
I mean,
23, we all knew Riley was
it
going to get
only made sense because they announced that Briscoe was going to Joe Gibbs. Everybody kind of already figured that Ryan Preece was going to RFK.
which is
And then
officially
somebody
announced.
literally leaked he was going to RFK, so that's pretty much a given. Cole was a given that he was going to stay at Hawks Factory. And then that only left, and then Noah going to front row. That only left Riley, so it was pretty much a given that he was going to 2311 after that. So
we pretty much all knew that he was, ever since all that rumors.
but I caught it since the beginning. I knew that boy was going there, and he tried to play it off like he didn't have a ride. You fool. I knew you had a ride. But now I'm not as screwed in Cup as I am Xfinity, so that excites me.
So
No, I'm actually still kind of screwed in Cup, but it's fine.
okay.
I'll figure it out.
So basically, how this episode is gonna go, since we don't have to do a NASCAR race recap, I'm gonna do what's in the group chat, and we're just gonna go through everything. So Connor Zilic, Shane Van Gisbergen, Liam Lawson, and Yuki Tsunoda did a challenge on YouTube because they are all Red Bull drivers or Red Bull athletes. So I have yet to see that video. It is literally sitting in my watch later playlist because I haven't been able to watch it, but I'm very excited for it because I'm a big fan of Liam and I'm a big fan of Connor, and I like both Yuki and Shane. So I feel like this is going to be very entertaining. they released the information about the broadcasts for 2025. So for Cup, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So the first 14 races up until the All-Star race are either going to be on Fox or FS1. The next 5 races are going to be on Prime Video. The 5 races after that are going to be on TNT. And the, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3. 3 races on USA. Daytona is going to be on NBC. The first 7 races of the playoffs are going to be on USA, and the final 3 races are going to be on NBC. It's okay. Then, for the Xfinity Series, all races are going to be on the CW. So, pretty straightforward for the Xfinity Series. For the trucks, all races on FS1. So it's really just Cup. That's all over the place. So, it has been announced that Parker Retzlaff will not be returning to Jordan Anderson Racing, meaning the 31 car is now open in Xfinity. I have my theories, I have my thoughts, but we'll see who goes into that car. 2311 and Front Row have decided that, like, throughout their whole lawsuit thing, that they would be, NASCAR allowed them to run next season. RFK said, like, posted that they had the major announcement on the 19th, which, that's today, isn't it? No, yesterday. We're filming this on Wednesday, the 20th. So yesterday, where they announced that Ryan Preece will be in the number 60 car, and they will be leasing a charter from Rick Ware Racing for that car, as well as Kroger has signed on full-time, left JTG Darty, which is now Hayek Motorsports. Their name changed. You thought silly season happens during the season? No, not true. But
happens after the season's over.
Yeah. Kroger. I could not think of the name of that for a second. Kroger has signed on full-time, along with a bunch of other brands or items that I do believe is in this. I will read them when we get to it. Tanner Gray will be returning back to Tricon in the number 15 for 2025. Did we ever hear about the update about the Sam Hunt Racing after they posted the 2025 thing? Anybody? I don't know.
No, I don't think so, not yet.
Okay. But
I haven't seen anything.
I thought they were already supposed to post about it.
I have no idea.
I thought they had a date on theirs that they were supposed to post.
I just know that it says like 24, 25, and 26 on it. In the post, if you look at it, it says 24, 25, and 26.
That's
Look
stupid.
at the picture.
Oh, I see it. I think they just used that, like, just to highlight, like, the 2025, because, like, they didn't have a specific driver in last year. They were swapping it multiple, because it was between Jeffrey Earnhardt, Corey Heim, oh gosh,
Ryan Truex. That's
Yeah,
what people are saying. It's going to
you think
be
he
next
might be?
year.
Hmm.
That's what
I mean,
people are saying.
that could be possible. But so Todd Gilliland is no longer going to be in the 38. He is moving to the 34, which is kind of funny because his dad, David Gilliland, also went the route of being in the 38 first, then moving to the 34. So he's following in his dad's footsteps. And he has taken
And
over.
that's his sponsor.
Yes. Yes, he has taken over Love's as his sponsorship. Logan
I'm not
Sargent.
gonna lie, I'm
Oh, go ahead.
kind of screwed with everybody's numbers changing now.
Yep. Yes. It's all
Damn.
types of jacked up.
It's fine.
Logan Sargent had his test at Thermal, and he topped the charts. He was either P1 or P2 his first time stepping into an Indy car. So we talked about Riley. Travis Mack has been signed
The boy. My boy.
has signed to be the crew chief of the 42. We don't exactly know if John Hunter's staying in that car or not. I don't think they've actually announced it. This week at Vegas, Alpine, we're getting the hot pink livery. Finally, that's the pink livery we wanted at the beginning of the season. They are keeping it for the last 3 races of the season, the last triple header. And Stake F1, Kick Sauber, whatever you want to call it, has flames on their green livery this week. Visa Cash App RB have glitter on their livery. So they are coming out. Esteban Ocon has a Captain America helmet. Like, they are bringing out all the stops for Vegas. There have been so many appearances of all of the drivers around. Like, I think Lewis Hamilton showed up at his Amave pop up. You had Oscar at Toomey. You had or sorry, yes, Toomey. I'm not sure. Because Lando was also somewhere. You had the Williams pop up that had both Williams drivers. You had um Bianca Bustamante with Oscar at Abercrombie. I think it's Abercrombie. Like, they are pulling out all the stops for Vegas. I am getting major FOMO. Like, seeing all the videos of people meeting Lando, and like, I'm sad that I'm not there, but I know I can't afford it, so it is what it is. But with the pink and green liveries, Stake F1 did the like wicked like thing with the 2 liveries because the new movie coming out. But moving on, RFK President Steve Newmark confirms about the charter for the 60. Let's see. So it is official, which I couldn't say this information, but I heard it. Chris Wright is going to be moving from ARCA to full-time Xfinity at Our Motorsports in the number 5 car, meaning Anthony Alfredo is not returning to the number 5 car, which, in my opinion, is like, I really hope it's the fact that, like, maybe he ran out of money, like, or he couldn't afford it type thing, because if they chose Chris Wright, if you guys have seen the way he races in ARCA, why would you choose him over somebody who was actually giving you like top 15 finishes every week, to someone who basically wrecks ARCA, like almost 9 times out of 10. So we'll see how that goes. I'm good friends with a lot of those guys, and I'll end up meeting this Chris right here, I'm sure. Sydney Sweeney got to do the NASCAR racing experience at Charlotte Motor Speedway with Ryan Blaney. Ryan was there to show her the ropes, as well as Gianna. So the brands that come along with Kroger, Kimberly Clark, Bimbo Bakeries USA, General Mills, Coca-Cola, Oscar Mayer and Lunchables, Celsius, Blue Buffalo, Treetop, Schwann's, and Allegra all come along with the Kroger partnership. Lane Riggs had a successful shoulder surgery, which, if you look back, he did dislocate his shoulder after one of his victories. FDNY Racing, they are going to be doing at least 5 races in the Truck Series and 3 races in ARCA in 2025. Daniel Hemrick has joined the number 19 Napa Racing Chevrolet for Bill McAnally Racing, the truck that Christian Eckes was in. He's now going to be driving that truck full time. And TNT has announced that the people in the booth are going to be Dale Jr., Adam Alexander, and Steve Letarte for those races. KOA Campgrounds has re-signed as a primary sponsor for Connor Zilich, as well as some of Wyatt Miller's micro sprint races. A big change that I am not a fan of, the course at Circuit of the Americas for NASCAR has changed. They will no longer be using turns 7 through 11. They cut off down towards the other end of the track. They basically cut it in half, which I'm kind of upset about. But they did instead, after taking off that much mileage, they did add on more laps to combat that. JHR in IndyCar has announced Stingray Robb will be one of its drivers next season. So Chevy won the Manufacturers' Championship in all 3 National Series, which I have no idea how that happened, because if 2 of the Drivers' Championships got won by 4 teams, how do they end up winning all 3 of the Manufacturer Championships? Couldn't tell you.
Chevy's the favorite, obviously, and Chevy gets what Chevy wants. I don't understand it either. I don't. But I also don't understand a lot of things that NASCAR does or happens, so.
Yeah. So, who knows? Monaco has been extended until 2031 to race, to have a Grand Prix there in Monaco. And Carlos Sainz will be driving in the end of season test for Williams. And if you haven't seen it, there was a video that got put out from RFK getting Brad Chris and Ryan to all say like next like Gen Z terms. That was not on my bingo card, especially to see Brad Kozlowski to say most of those terms. Would have never been on my radar ever. But
You know what? They actually really did eat that up though, because it was actually quite hilarious. I was laughing. I would not expect any of those phrases to come out of any of their mouths, but they did eat because it was fantastic though. It was kind of funny.
yeah. But so this weekend for Formula One, it could all come down to this race. If let's see. If Lando wins this race or places ahead of Max with the fastest lap, he could keep his championship hopes alive. But if he fails to score points or Max is above him, it is very likely that Max will continue his reign as the world champion. So, let's get into this weekend. It's going to be a little different with it's a Saturday night race. It's not a Sunday race. They have to do all of their sessions in the middle of the night because they're using actual streets and the Las Vegas Strip for this race. So they close down all these streets at like 5 p.m. where people can't get through anymore so they can get ready for each session.
I can tell you it's not fun trying to find how to get to places when you're in Vegas when they shut down for F1 because I've been there. And also when my sister went to Vegas, they had all of the streets already all closed for the F1 race.
So
it's not fun trying to get around when all the freaking streets are closed.
Yes, it is. It's very difficult to navigate.
Everywhere.
But I feel like I've noticed that since all of these drivers can come out and do all of these signings and stuff like that, if they were to try to do that in any other country, specifically like somewhere in Europe, that would not happen. Because if you put F1 drivers out in the street in Europe, there are people mobbing them. There are people chasing down their cars when they're trying to leave places. Like, at least that I've noticed in America, like, we're a little bit more considerate of, like, because, like, obviously, you notice, like, we see celebrities all the time. Like, you have, like, I don't know, Tom Holland out in front of, like, in some store in New York or something, and there's, like, a line of people outside. Like, obviously, there's a lot of security out there, but most people are fairly considerate about, like, if a person comes over to sign, like, they're not gonna, they don't necessarily, like, attack, like, mob them, you know? And so I think that's another reason why, yes, Vegas is a very big spectacle, a very big entertainment show that they have to put on because, one, it's Vegas, and they spent a lot of money on this race. It was a 3-year contract last year, this year, and they're supposed to have it again next year. But it's very... I'm just glad that I have not seen something happen to a driver because everyone so far has been able to control themselves and been able to be respectful of these drivers and realize that these are actual people, not like they're not robots. They can be hurt. They have feelings. Like, thank you for being respectful for all that I've seen of people meeting drivers this week in Vegas. But let's get into the race. Like I said, it's gonna be in the middle of the night. Like I think the first session, first or second session, I can't remember. In the UK, it's like 11 p.m. to like 4 a.m. That's like the time, which I think here. Let me see. Let me see what time for the Eastern time zone, which we on the Eastern time zone are 3 hours different from Vegas.
2 hours. It's 7:48 right there right now. At least my time.
Yes, it is 10:48
because I'm 2 hours behind them.
So the race starts at 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So free practice 1 is 9:30 to 10:30, 9:30 p.m. to 10:30. Practice 2, 1 a.m. to 2 a.m. Next, FP3 and qualifying the next day or the next night are the same as the previous. And then the race starts at 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I am seeing even last year, I see all of the Europeans, all of the people in the UK complaining about the start time of this race. And I'm like, do you know how us Americans feel? Like 75% of the season? Like, the timing sucks. Like, I would have to be up at like 4 a.m. to like actually see sessions in real time. Like, so yes, you have one race that sucks on timing. Okay? The Japan and Singapore races, I gotta be up at like 3 in the morning to watch these races. Like, yes, okay, fine. We get 3 Grand Prix. Okay? But if you guys actually knew how big the US is, like, it would take me like 2 days if I was driving to Vegas. It takes me 13 hours to get to Miami. It would take me like a day and 3 hours, or probably just a day, probably like 18, maybe 18 hours to get to Coda from where I am. And we, or at least me and Molly, are basically in the heart of NASCAR country.
I'm many miles away. I'm 3 hours away from Kansas City and 5 hours away from Texas.
Like, the way that, so if you were to ask someone who lives in the UK, be like, "Oh, are you near London?" And in their head, they're like, say they're 2 hours away from London. They'll be like, "Nah, that's like we're a bit of a drive. We're like 2 hours." And then in the US would be like, "Bro, that's literally a day trip. Like, what are you talking about?" Like, I am 2.5 hours away from Atlanta. I'm 2.5 hours away from Charlotte. So like, I'm in opposite directions. Like, it's a day trip to go to either one of those. Like, whereas if in the UK they're like, "Oh, I don't want to travel 2 hours for like," and I'm like, "Dude, you're that close to it? Like, come on." Like, it's definitely
I'm technically closer to a lot more I'm technically closer to a few more tracks because I have Kansas City, I have Texas, I have Michigan, and I have St. Louis. I have those 4
Iowa?
Tracks.
Do you know how far are you from
And Iowa?
So,
like
I drive.
I'm not that far.
The max. I think the excluding Daytona, the furthest I drive to a NASCAR track is like 4 hours. like maybe 4.5. Like, I think Martinsville is my furthest
Uh,
track. And I hit like
Charlotte and
Oh, well,
Charlotte and Martinsville about the same for me.
well, you
It's a
fly.
nice like 18-hour drive. I'm 6 hours away from Iowa, so I'm close to Kansas City, Texas, Michigan, St. Louis, and Iowa. So I have 5 tracks that I'm near, that I'm close to. I've only ever been to Texas and Kansas City.
Yeah. Like
That's it.
I'm within that 4-hour range in any direction. I can hit Martinsville, Charlotte, Wilkesboro, Bristol, Darlington, Atlanta, Talladega, and yeah, and technically Florence, but Florence isn't a NASCAR track. Um, and then like I can get in within that radius. I can hit Bowman Gray, um, like those tracks, Rockingham, like all of those are within that 4 hour drive. Like excluding Daytona because Daytona's like a 7-hour drive because I'm in upstate South Carolina. If I was on the coast, it'd probably be a little less, but because I'm 4 hours from the coast. People who don't live in the U.S. do not realize how far things actually are. Like, but we're the people who do live in the U.S. are conditioned to it. So, like, you could literally take, like, a 7-hour trip up into the mountains for the weekend, and nobody would think twice about it.
Do you know how many times we just drive to Colorado because it's like 7 hours away from us? I've been to
Exactly.
Colorado. I've been to Colorado. I don't know how many times, and I'm pretty sure. No, we're not going there for Christmas. I thought we were. We're going to the beach for Christmas, but that's fine.
See, I have like Bowman Gray, Martinsville, Bristol, Charlotte, Atlanta, and then if you want to count it, I have Talladega.
Yeah.
I'm far away from literally every single one of those places. It's like a good 2-day trip.
Yeah.
But Bowman Gray would be like the closest one since it's just right up the road.
Yeah. But okay, let's do our picks for this Vegas race. If I'm gonna be honest, like yes, I'm wearing all. Actually, this is even the hold on. This is the Las Vegas edition of the McLaren hat. Like, is this side? Do they have the patches on this side too? The cherries, I think, are here somewhere. But I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with Lando Norris because I don't know if I want to because I didn't experience the 2021 Abu Dhabi, but it is very likely we could have another one of those between Max and Lando. So as much as
I feel like that's what all of our answers are going to be is Lando.
yes,
I'm also going with
Max
Lando.
wins this race, Max wins the championship.
correct.
And I don't think we want that, even though I know you're a Max fan.
Yes,
I think we
I
all want
am
Lando
torn
right
between the
now.
two.
I think we all want Lando.
Yeah, as much as I love Max, and as much as I want him to keep the number one because it's iconic and that's what's on all of my merchandise for him, um, like I think I only have like a couple cars that have the 33.
Look, I don't even want to talk about merchandise. All of my freaking NASCAR. The hell?
But because that's the number one is reserved for the previous champion, so if he does not win this year, he has to relinquish the number one and go back to the number 33 that he was previously. Um, so, and people were making jokes. So, Charles had 55 Carlos as his teammate. Now he's going to have 44 Lewis as his teammate. Does that mean his next teammate is going to be the 33 Max Verstappen? That would be so funny, actually. But okay, so it's a general consensus that Lando to win this race,
Yeah.
which something F1 got so flamed for one of their posts because they posted Lando's crash and it said Sparks and in quotes and Lando were flying. They were very inconsiderate.
I saw that people were on that.
Because, like, there was a good, 4 hours that we had no idea if Lando was okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he literally was on a stretcher taken to the hospital. Like, so that, I just felt like it was very inconsiderate and, not very, this, they could have come up with something completely different. Like, come on, man. But, okay, general consensus, Lando to win Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Who do we got? Long shot / P3, P2, whatever. However we want to go about this. Who's our long shot?
I'll go Charles.
Okay. He was on the podium last year.
Mm-hmm.
I was also actually thinking Charles.
Okay.
Those are my two mains.
I'm gonna go Oscar Piastri. Because right now, it's gonna make it interesting. Because right now, if McLaren do not prioritize Lando over Oscar for these last 3 races, Lando could lose this championship.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're gonna see if McLaren actually pulls through for their driver fighting for a championship. So, that's gonna be my pick.
Okay.
And by the time this episode is uploaded, they are already gonna have had FP1 and FP2 because that is actually happening tomorrow night based on the day that we're filming this. So we will have already seen how fast what the drivers are looking like for Vegas. Hopefully no more potholes or manhole covers or whatever destroying cars like Carlos's last year.
I mean, they are done.
The road should be fixed.
Yeah.
Should be. That's a big should be, though.
They covered that walkway like they did one time instead of that fishing line or whatever, fishnet or whatever. It's all whatever the thing's called.
Yes, so the walkover,
Like
the
plastic.
the crossover bridges, instead of the kind of translucent film that they had over the glass, they now put up actual metal, plastic, whatever barriers on the crossover bridges. So there's no possible way that you were going to be able to see anything while walking on this bridge. So I guess there was a lot of people that were up there trying to watch the race from last year, so they had to do something else about it. Which I have noticed that the prices compared to last year look so much better. They feel so much cheaper from what I've seen. They were just there were different there was actually a free fan zone part that you had to RSVP for it. There was a certain amount of tickets, but they were free. and you just had to RSVP for it. And then people who apparently can't go or whatever are trying to sell their free tickets for like $40 or $50. And I'm like, bro, you got this for free. And I don't even think they're transferable. So it wouldn't even matter if they tried to sell it or not. Like, these people can't get them. So people are out here.
We thought about
Like, I just hope that what happened last year with where, like, where one of the sessions got pushed back too late and they started kicking people out of the stands because, like, it was so late or whatever. I just hope that doesn't happen again because, like, I understand that this is literally happening on the streets of Vegas, but, like, there's still sessions. People still paid to be here. Like, I get that it's late. Like, it's probably, like, 4 o'clock in the morning. But, like, this is what you guys signed up for, to have a night race in Vegas. Like, come on. So, alright.
We thought about going. We thought about going last year to the Vegas race since we saw it all set up.
I wanted to go so bad, but, like, I could not pull
And
off.
we did not because the prices were atrocious.
That's the thing. This year, they don't look that bad.
Last year they were atrocious. I think for 4 tickets, it was almost like $2,000.
Sounds about right.
I was like,
I think also the good thing about Vegas, like, again, they make it into a huge event. Like, they start Tuesday with pop-ups, with driver appearances, like, with different events. They have everything set up already so, like, people can come for, like, the week. And it's like, that's what I really like about it. Even though Vegas is, like, ridiculously expensive in general, so, like, if you add in the fact that, like, bougie F1 is there, like,
I mean, Vegas isn't that expensive. Been there quite a few times. Not that expensive.
well, it's expensive for me. Okay, let's get out of here. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. However you enjoy our lovely podcast. We got a couple more episodes left. But this did I say 38th episode? I don't know if I said that or not. But let's do this outro. It goes, peace, love. Put my little, aw, dang it. Hold on.
Me. Oh. I didn't even hit myself, but I said ow because it's just my thing.
Okay, let's try this again. Alright, peace, love. Put my little McLaren logo in my little heart. And, you ready? Race
Yeah.
cars. See, you guys have Riley. I went the Formula 1 route to match my outfit.
Well, I went the Riley route because he matches my fit.
Yeah. That's fair. Okay. All right. Good night, everybody.
Peace.